Domino movie review. So by the way, this is a review of the 2005 Domino movie. I mentioned that because I was just on Wikipedia just now, and they mentioned that there's a 2019 upcoming movie also named Domino, which as of this recording I don't believe is out yet, but will be soon apparently. But yeah, this is a 2005 movie. So I was living in Japan at the time, and because I was living in Japan, I tend to be a little bit out of it with some of these kind of minor releases. I'm not sure if this got any buzz or any publicity back in the US. But when I came across it, it was in a video store, and I had never heard of it before. And I just kind of rented it on a whim just because I was looking for something to watch and it looked mildly interesting. So I'm not quite sure what the name for this type of movie is. I might call it hipster movie. It's kind of, you know, one of those kind of post-90s movies influenced by the style of Quentin Tarantino. You know what I mean? Like the soundtrack is very prominent. Lots of kind of cool pop songs kind of pop up at various key points in the movie. It's a little bit out of sequence. Kind of words kind of flash up on the screen in kind of a bit of a breaking the fourth wall way to kind of show who the characters are. There's narration by one of the characters, which is happening over top of the scenes. There's a lot of meta references to other movies. There's celebrities who appear in the movies as themselves, kind of making fun of themselves. In a way, it's kind of ripping off a lot of these other post-Tarantino movies that have come out the past 20 years. But well, it may not be original, it at least is entertaining. There was a lot of brain candy, flashing lights, quick cuts, everything to cater to my ruined attention span. Particularly funny, one of the jokes in this movie is the title character, Domino, really hates that TV show Beverly Hills 90210. And then, later in the movie, two of the actors from Beverly Hills 90210 show up. And they show up kind of playing themselves. Like they're playing, in the movie they're kind of washed up actors. They're playing like a washed up version of themselves who have, you know, they were really popular in that 90s TV show, but then haven't been able to get kind of steady work since. And they do a good job of making fun of themselves. I was never particularly a huge fan of that show, but the fact that these guys can kind of make fun of themselves this way, yeah, they get points for that, in my opinion. Yeah, another thing kind of similar to maybe the post-Quentin Tarantino influence. There's some black humor in this movie, which, this is a judgment call on my part, this is an opinion, but arguably it borders on sadism. Sadism. For example, the protagonist at one point hacks off the limbs of the enemies and then taunts them about it, and it's kind of played for humor. I thought, this is getting a little bit dark for my taste. Sometimes movies like this are kind of like, they're trying to be edgy deliberately. Like, are you cool enough to laugh at this? I could have done without it. I found out at the end, I didn't know this ahead of time, but not the end, but from watching the DVD extras after the movie had finished, that this movie was actually based on a true story, kind of, or at least it was based on a real person. So there really was a real-life female bounty hunter called Domino Harvey. Yeah, which is interesting, huh? I didn't know this was a real person. The movie if Common Sense already didn't tell you this, the DVD extras make this quite explicit, that the movie was kind of taking a lot of liberties with their stories, but it was kind of based off of her persona, at least. Yeah, some interesting things maybe about the sexuality of the character. It played by Keira Knightley, and she's like a really tough female character. But at times, she's not afraid to use her sexuality to get out of tough spots. For example, at one point when she's surrounded by bad guys who have their guns drawn, she offers to give one of them a free lap dance to get out of the situation, and gains information that way. Now, I don't think that's how John Wayne would have handled the same situation. So, in that sense, that's kind of not, well, it's not exactly equal to the way a male tough guy would have handled that. On the other hand, if women can use their sexuality to help them get an advantage over men, it's probably fair game, right? I mean, I don't know, and I'm probably going to get in trouble if I try and insert myself in this debate, because this is something that would be interesting to hear the perspective of women on. What is kind of the fine line between having a female character use her sexuality to an advantage in a movie like this, and having the movie be exploitative? There were times when I thought the camera was lingering a little bit on the curves of the actress who was playing this woman, sending the message that, okay, yes, she's a real kick-ass strong woman, but you're also supposed to be ogling her at the same time. I kind of thought the same thing with Charlie's Angels, which is another movie that I've known women to have different opinions on. So I don't want to, as a male, maybe insert myself into that debate, although I guess I kind of am by bringing it up. But I'd be interested to hear what women would think about it. But speaking of Charlie Angels, this movie also references Charlie's Angels a bit, so they're making an explicit connection. Anyways, yeah, interesting enough to check out if you cross paths with it.